Nai mai, haere mai, ki tēnei hōtaka. Welcome to the panel on RNZ National. Wallace Chapman with you. Happy Friday, loving your company. We're on iHeart, Spotify, on the RNZ app. Well, a hikoi tomorrow from midday, Whakatane, as local anger grows over the obstetrics closure at the local hospital. That just in just a moment. Also, a McDonald's application for Wanaka has been declined. Is this just part of New Zealand's no culture? Are we saying no to everything? And being a single parent. Now, we had quite a response on this on the back of the Salvation Army report, and we focused on single parent households. Now, Myra, mum of three, PhD in international law, renting post-marriage, the stress of it keeps her awake at night. She's tonight. And the school lunch program is taking a break today to organise it, so it's pies today. David Seymour says a celebration, Labour says a disaster. And our question of the day, and it's very, very simple, just 4 words. How did you meet? 2101. And there are some fantastic stories coming through. Here's just a couple. We met at church. The vicar said, we have a new student here today. Could you please make him feel welcome? So I did. Been married 35 years.
Oh,
bless.
Oh, stop
There you go, another one here. My husband and I met on the very first day of work at Weta Workshop. He was asked to give me the health and safety tour of the workshop. Later, he recalled that it was my firm handshake that got his attention. For me, it was his bright eyes, not the silicone hobbit feet that he had on at the time. We've been together 14 years, married for 8. So there are some wonderful stories of how did you meet coming through. And we hear a special story from our operator, Corey, on that. So 2101, you can email the panel at rnz.co.nz. With me, Sarah Sparks, founder of Sparks Consulting, serving kaupapa Māori, equity and justice issues. She's whakapapas to Te Aotearoa and Ngāti Tama. Sarah, kia ora as always. Happy Friday. Nice to have you here.
Kia ora korua.
And Andrew Clay, comedian and football coach, and he joins us every Valentine's Day, and no one knows why.
Well, you obviously think I'm available for a start, which hurts. Well, he'll have nothing on. That's ouch, you know? Well, let's give Clay a call. Everyone else is busy.
Never thought of that. What matters is that you're here.
I want to make current affairs a little bit sexy, a little bit romantic.
Very good. 6:10, the panel RNZ National. Now, to this first, there will be a hikoi because health has been a big issue today. And there is a hikoi tomorrow from midday, Whakatane, as local anger gathers pace on the obstetrics closure at Whakatane Hospital. Low-risk births could still take place at Whakatane Hospital with the assistance of midwives. It was reported in December on RNZ 4 specialists have resigned from Whakatane Hospital, and from mid-Jan this year, Whakatane would not have acute obstetric services available. So high-risk cases transferred to Tauranga Hospital now. That's around an hour and a half away. Around 650 babies are born at the hospital district every year. 2/3 of Māori births in the Bay of Plenty are high risk, prompting concern from local iwi about Whakatane Hospital changing to a primary birthing service. Now, one local midwife, whom RNZ agreed not to name, in the December article said, quoting, "You could have a normal pregnancy and birth and then have a postpartum hemorrhage. And there was one of those the other day who had to be rushed to the theatre." With us to discuss this hikoi tomorrow, this protest, Whakatane District Councillor Nandor Tancoz. Nandor, kia ora, nice to have you here.
Kia ora, Wallace, thank you. And kia ora, Sarah and Andrew.
This has been a long-running issue at Whakatane Hospital. Tell us a bit more about what the hikoi is for.
Yeah, well, it's true that there's been chronic problems at Whakatane Hospital for some time, but I think most people in the community haven't really been aware of it or quite the extent of it. So the closure of the obstetrics and gynecology services took everyone by surprise, I think. But then as we've been kind of looking into it and asking, well, why did we suddenly get 4 obstetricians resign? Suddenly, people who, some of them have only been here for a couple of years and they've relocated from overseas. So why did they suddenly resign? And what we found is that the obstetrics and gynecology is really just the tip of the iceberg, that there's deep problems across the hospital system with chronic understaffing, with just completely dysfunctional management systems. And so the hikoi is really about the community having a voice, having their say, expressing our anger, our dismay, our concern at the state of the hospital, and demanding something better.
I'd like to know, Nandor, before we go to Sarah and Andrew, just in terms of, everyone knows and everyone's listening will know that we are very wedded to our local hospital. We want to be proud of it and we want it to do well. What is the feeling from the general community and indeed expectant parents about this hospital?
Oh, look, people are deeply concerned. When you talk about access, you've got to remember the catchment for the hospital goes out to Hicks Bay. So it's one thing for people in Whakatane to have to travel, an hour and a half in an emergency in the back of an ambulance where very little can be done till you actually get to the hospital. But you've got people already coming a few hours just to get to Whakatane. And, you can use the helicopter, but if the weather allows it. So there's a whole lot of issues there around the border kind of East Coast. So people are really concerned. Right. We've heard from a number of medical specialists who are saying, this is likely to lead to serious mishaps, if not deaths. So, people are really angry.
Let's get into it. Sarah Sparks, declaration here. You've got, you're very much across this topic because what you're tangentially included in this.
I am. Well, I'm a strategic comms advisor, and I'm working with Te Moana Atoi Iwi Māori Partnership Board when this was all happening, and so I applaud, and the board does too. I had a kōrero with them today around the hikoi for the community to galvanise together. This is really, really important, and we all tautoko, but obviously there's been some systemic problems that have snowballed, and I guess my question is just around this kōrero, because tomorrow there is going to be a crowd, is around how the community work together and the Iwi Māori Partnership Board on a solution with Te Whatuora, because I'm hearing too across the motu that this isn't the only rural hospital that's encountering service delivery challenges. And obviously being Māori, I'm concerned about our māma and pipi, because we should be caring and protecting them. They're vulnerable. So what do you expect in terms of that kōrero and solutions? Because I know that the IMPB has had a hui, and there's some solutions that are coming with the general manager and interim management team. But what other solutions can you envisage that can come out of community? Because it is we need some stopgap solutions now before the more medium to long-term ones come into place. I'm interested to know.
Yeah, well, thank you for the tautoko. I really appreciate that. And we are in conversation with Iwi Māori Partnership Board, and we've got Enid Ratahi Pryor from the Ngāti Awa Social and Health Services speaking tomorrow with a Māori midwife with her. So I think those partnerships are really, really critical, and we're quite keen to link in with other rural and regional health communities who have these same issues with their health services. Because, as you say, this isn't just Whakatane. This is across the country, and there's a whole lot of issues around how we resource, but also how the whole how our health services are structured. But having said that, I think there are some issues that are peculiar to Whakatane as well. So, one of the things is we've been told, don't worry too much. It's just that it's difficult to recruit obstetricians to Whakatane. And it's true that there's a global shortage, and it's true that places like Whakatane sometimes can be challenged in trying to recruit people. Having said that, this is an amazing place to live. So there's people who want to come here as well. But when you look at it, it's more than just a shortage. There's some deep problems. The recruitment process is a shambles, to be frank. So, and this is across the hospital as a whole, not just in obstetrics and gynecology. there's no recruitment support. There's no specialist staff to support recruitment. So you've got senior clinicians having to tap Facebook, tap their friends, having to sift CVs. It's ludicrous that they're spending their time on this stuff, which you should have HR people doing that kind of work.
Well, that is interesting, Nandor. Yeah, that's kind of amateur stuff, isn't it? Really. I just want to bring Andrew in as well.
It's a question more than a statement. Is it as simple as more money is the answer, or is it an organisational issue? Like I'm hearing that there's no support around recruitment and retention and stuff. Would it be solved just by money, or does there need to be a shake-up in the organisation? I know money solves a lot of problems. There does need to be a shake-up in some organisation as well.
Nandor.
Look, I think it's both. I mean, definitely there's underfunding of the health service as a whole, but especially of rural and regional health services. But there's systemic problems where, with recruitment, so even where heads of departments in the hospital have found staff to fill existing vacancies, it takes months to get the contract signed off by Te Whatu Ora.
Why?
And they're not even... It's impossible to find out because we're not even sure if the problem's in Tauranga or it's in the Waikato. That they have to be signed off apparently by the Deputy Chief Executive, but we're hearing stories where she's signed off contracts, but it's still not filtering down. So people are waiting months to get their contracts signed. These are people who want to come to Whakatane and work as specialists,
surely
and they can't get their contracts signed.
Someone with the right will could get sorted within days. Surely.
Okay, so
am I naive?
Yeah, no, you've identified a concrete issue there. Just the you need to get their contract signed. So Sarah,
well, being a farmer's daughter, I'm very pragmatic, and I was just thinking, the workforce is maintaining the pipeline of the workforce is a major issue. So I'm just wondering, with junior doctors in particular, is having an incentive. For me, I'm looking at it going, is this an equity situation between metro centres that have all the bells and whistles and resourcing due to the profile and the scale of population, and then out in rural, remote areas where a lot of our whānau live, it's almost like it's the poor cousin, with the greatest of respect. So not getting the amount of love and attention and care and resources. So, I'm thinking, why don't we have a campaign to recruit junior doctors and give them incentives in terms of their fees, and also making a requirement that they work on the ground in rural, remote areas. Okay. That's what they used to do, I think, back in the day. And we go back to basics.
People might know. There are people in the field who might know that 2101. Can I just ask, Nandor, in terms of the morale at Whakatane, needless to say, there'll be people there working, some of the staff who, give it their all being at that hospital.
Oh yeah, I think a lot. We've got great stuff. We've got a fantastic midwife network. We've got great staff, and anyone in the community's got stories about how wonderful they are. But the problem is they're working in this dysfunctional system, which I think is leading to people to despair because it means they can't provide the service that they want to and that they know they're capable of. And just to touch, come back to Sarah's point about solutions. There's a couple of things. That's quite right. The equity issue. Staff, specialists in Whakatane, are paid less than in Tauranga or Rotorua or places like that. So first of all, just paying equal pay for the same job, I think, would go a long way.
There you go.
But the other thing is allowing heads of departments to approve their own appointments. And we're not talking about empire expansion, but where there's existing vacancies which are already in the budget, why does it have to go to some other place? Just let the heads of departments who know the staff that they need, let them appoint their own staff.
Oh, come on, mate. That's ridiculously simple and logical. What do you want?
We can't have that.
What are you, mate? You have no idea.
And hey, look, so it's tomorrow, and thanks for joining us here on the panel. That's Nandor Tancoz there, Whakatane District Councillor.
That's insane, 10 months. For a bit of paper to be handed down and sent on a phone call,
there you go. There's a specific,
that would drive me nuts.
Specific solution there. Streamline that recruitment process.
Yeah, it's fundamental. It's lifeblood.
Yeah, it is. You want that contract in front of you. We all know that.
Yeah. If you don't have the staff, you can't offer the service.
If you've been waiting several months, you're going to give up. You're going to go somewhere else. That's just
Meanwhile, some of the stories coming through about how did you meet, are extraordinary. I met my partner at 47 years when he climbed a tree and climbed to the first floor of the flat I was in. He planned to surprise his friends, but I was in the room instead. So there you go.
There's a number of times I've used that excuse.
Yeah. Bruce says, we met in a gay sauna 46 years ago.
Nice.
And we're still together, 23 past 6,
No.
the panel. Isn't that lovely?
That's so
Yes.
sweet.
Now, McDonald's proposal to open a restaurant. Gosh. And Wanaka has given the thumbs down this week, but it might not be over. The site they picked was in front of Mount Isa at the entrance to the town. Is this just justified protection of the local character or part of the government's recently decried culture of saying no? Have a listen.
I recently spoke about the need to end the culture of saying no when it comes to economic growth, because Kiwis want to build and they want to grow and they want to innovate, and all too often they're actually told no.
Now, according to the ACT Party, it's the latter, with MP Simon Court saying it makes you wonder why anyone would bother doing business in New Zealand. But what do the locals think? And with us is Jesse Herbert, Wanaka local and owner of Freshlink Grocer. Jesse, kia ora, great to have you here.
Kia ora, thanks for having me.
How do you feel about the McDonald's application being declined? This was national news.
Yeah, we feel great. The town feels like it's been heard.
Keep going, Andrew.
Well, I'm thinking that just because you don't want a massive golden arches in your otherwise idyllic town doesn't make you anti-growth. Would I be right in thinking that, sir?
No. So, I mean, Luxon, he's right. We do have a culture of no, but I'd call it no thank you.
There you go.
So it might show how out of touch with culture he is. So I'll explain it this way. As the youngest of 5 siblings, you watch your older brothers and sisters grow up. And just over the hill from us here, we love our brothers and sisters in Queenstown. It's a great place. We often go over there, but we watch that place grow up. And most people, well, a lot of people live here because it's not Queenstown.
Yep.
So growth is coming to us, whether we like it or not. It's actually quite intense, but we just want to say and how we grow.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the Prime Minister did say, look, we're meant to be going for growth. You have to wonder why anyone wanting to build or expand a business would even bother when this is the potential outcome. And he's called people like you, Jesse, busybodies.
Yeah, when you say people to grow businesses and expand, I mean, David Seymour said last night, something about like trying to achieve growth and whatnot. The way you achieve economic growth is by supporting small to medium-sized enterprises who do smart primary production and manufacturing, rather than sucking up to large multinational corporations and becoming wage slaves while they ship all the profits offshore.
You don't have to eat the McDonald's. That's the thing. There's choice.
But he has to look at the restaurant and ruin the character of his town. And I suggest that the people of Wanaka have looked at the big picture of growth, which is to keep the essence of their town somewhat, even within growing, essence of the town, not lose it to the big corporate signs everywhere, and keep the charm of their town while still growing. It's possible to do both.
Okay, Sarah.
Well, I have worked at McDonald's, one of my first jobs. However, having 3 children, I refused to take them to McDonald's. And I'm pleased to say it was a very enduring decision, and I now have 2 first-class athletes, one 6'7". So for me, it's about health, and health is about the environment, and it's also about the people. And this is about democracy. The people have spoken. I think there was 90%. They sent a message back. Politicians need to understand that in some areas, constituents don't want the golden arches for very compelling reasons. I also work in Hauora, and for Māori in particular, fast food, we spend a lot of time and money and resources on health promotion for people to eat healthy and nutritious food. Wanaka sort of sits in a beautiful, clean fruit bowl of New Zealand. Why would you want to go and put McDonald's there?
Because other places do. Queenstown does. Yeah, and that has been released.
Jesse just articulated the fact that you want to have an identity that might be separate from somewhere bigger.
Special.
And in fact, that might be the key to your particular town's growth, is not being like every other city and every other country in the world that's got a golden arches. You're different.
Let's bring Jesse in.
Yeah, I think the way to describe it best is to use that Māori word kaupapa. If you take a look up in Auckland, actually one of the biggest objectives to one going up in there is the local iwi. And for us here in town, kaupapa means, the experience that people have when they come as visitors and as locals living here. So Mount Iron is one of probably the top 3 most significant spots in this town. And these guys got offered a spot in the main commercial area of Wanaka. However, this does lead that they got greedy and they went for this spot where they actually had free reign where they got offered, So it just proves the fact that they're more of a real estate company even than a burger company. And they don't
That's right. Some would say, Jesse, people like you are trying to turn back the clock. You're fighting a losing battle. The golden arches are everywhere. Why? Because people want it. And Wanaka's growing.
Wanaka didn't want it, Wallace. If you believe in democracy, Wanaka didn't want it.
Jesse.
They don't want it. And what we've got to understand the historical context of this application, it went in barely a year after Family Mini Putt got denied on this exact same location. Family Mini Putt has got to be one of the least intrusive activities in the history of mankind. And they will come along with that bit of golden arches. And this is an absolutely significant area. The town got hurt. The district plan got read. The Resource Management Act got considered. The hearing commissioners, the people making the decision, came in from Auckland and were totally independent. The town got heard. And Luxon and Seymour actually need to understand that. And they're the ones in charge of administering that act, right?
All right. Final point, Sarah. So you're all in agreement, but you think that actually Wanaka is not the place for a franchise like McDonald's. Okay, Jesse, one more, just another one. What if it was KFC?
Look, we've got Domino's and Subway here, and it's no secret that I'm a big fan of healthy food, right?
Yeah.
I think, when it comes down to it, the way that Seymour and Luxon are acting when the town just wants to have a say over its own growth has led to a position where if these guys lose their appeal for this location and they choose to go somewhere in a more commercial relevant zone, I don't even think the town now has an appetite for that. And this is a very pro-business place. Live and let live. People need to conduct their business. But at this point, they've got the town wound up. We felt like we were heard, and now we feel like we're being pushed down. Yes,
because just finally, they may appeal, and you may well have McDonald's there after all.
Oh, look, absolutely. There's always a risk. I don't think they're a company that's going to be taking no for an answer too easily.
All right. Very good.
Someone in the office made a poor strategic decision.
Okay, Jesse, kia ora. Nice to have you here. Jesse Herbert there, Wanaka local and owner of Fresh Link Rosa.
I just get a little bit offended, if that's the right word, by just a sweeping statement. You must be, if you don't want that particular X thing in your town, you must be anti-growth. It's like saying, if you believe in equal rights, you must be woke. Get these broad strokes that just try to polarize people and get people going, they're anti-growth. No, this is a nuanced answer in a particular town for particular reasons. Democracy has spoken. Clearly, Wanaka and that gentleman is not anti-growth. He's just anti that particular corporation in his town. And he should be able to do that.
Both of you are complaining about the fact that we need more money. And you're not supporting businesses that bring money.
No, it's about context. And I applaud the community and Jesse because it's kaitiakitanga in action. They're balancing the individual property rights with collective welfare, and in some contexts, it's not going to be the outcome that the business owner wants,
But it might actually promote growth in that town because
there'll be other ideas.
Because you got other ideas and you've got tourists going there because it's quentness and it's not the same old like every other city in the world.
You made your point. All right, now.
That was Wallace
Valentine's Day, by the way, the question of the day.
Does it all the time. Hold it together. Come on, Wallace, you're the professional in this room. Come on.
The question of the day is four words. How did you meet? And just an extraordinary response. I can't wait to have our colleague and friend Corey share his story, but here's another one. We met working in Antarctica. Options are fewer, and everyone starts looking good.
It's like a bar at 3 a.m.
And on that note, it's Tom Headlines.
Thanks very much, Wallace. Every time I heard the name Sarah, I thought it was my turn. So finally, it's my turn.
Sorry, Sarah. How are you? Good to have you here too.
It's great to be here.